Hey gang, Black Hat here. Today I want to talk to you about the difference between Reaganomics versus Obamanomics. Wikipedia explains Reaganomics as this. Number 1, cut government spending. 2, cut income and capital gains tax. 3, cut government regulation. And 4, cut the amount of money the government prints and lets out into the public. It's kind of like what De Beers does to control diamonds so they don't become worthless. What I remember about being a teenager during the Reaganomics years was that I could go out and I could get a job when I was 16. I could afford to go buy a guitar and play in a band, and that band would get paid for playing. I could also afford to drive my car to the beach or Disneyland or wherever and spend money and have fun. I remember when I could buy an American-made guitar or car or whatever, and the only thing that China sent us was pandas. Do you remember pandas? They had a hard time mating with a bunch of people watching them and filming them. They had some modesty, because not all pandas are porn stars. Reaganomics is basically Economics 101. Any financial advisor or financial planner or debt counselor will tell you the exact same thing. If you're in debt, stop spending money. Period. Obamanomics says we have to spend money to get out of debt. Bullshit. We have so many drug czars, environmental czars, welfare and oversight committees that makes your head spin. And Obama keeps hiring his buddies that are unqualified and eventually fired for government jobs that already exist or we just don't need. Reagan cut taxes so we could go out and buy more stuff. That means that every time we bought a jet ski, a car, or a loaf of bread, someone made money making it, transporting it, and selling it. And all the taxes paid along the way covered the government's share in roads, safety, and education. Obama wants the rich to pay more taxes. Really? I remember when rich meant being a millionaire. Today, rich means making $250,000. If you have a police officer who's married to, say, an air traffic controller, guess what? You're close to being rich and paying almost half your income to the government. Do you really want to give your hard-earned money to the government so they can piss it away on committees and welfare programs and people who don't want to work? I'm not talking about people who can't work. I'm talking about people that live in coastal cities below sea level who cry, help us, after they were told to get out. This is a big contrast to people in San Diego who told the government, piss off, we got this, when half the county was on fire. General Motors, Chrysler, and Citibank are not too big to fail, and neither is the federal government. The debt ceiling crisis is a joke. Can you imagine if your credit card company called you and said, what would you like your spending limit to be? After 2.5 years, the national debt is still somehow Bush's fault. We knew Obama was not going to fix everything, but for crying out loud, he could have at least slowed the plunge into recession. If GM fails, trust me, there will be plenty of smaller and better run companies to take over the market. We don't need to buy union worker votes with the government bailout. The same thing goes for banks. There will be plenty of smaller banks to take over the loans and properties. When the federal government does take a crap, there will be plenty of other smaller and better run entities to make things happen. They are called state governments. Texas residents do not need to pay for illegal kids in California learning evolution. And New York doesn't need to spend money on kids in Montana learning how to shoot with a hunting rifle and a scope from 100 yards out instead of a spray and pray drive-by. If you don't like the way your state does things, you can either vote or you can leave. Whether we are talking financially or socially, the answer is very simple. Reward good, punish bad. We have a bass backwards in this country. We punish those who work hard and try to save for the future. And we reward those who sit on their ass and do nothing. Where is the motivation for people to get off their ass and work harder if all you're going to do is take their money and give it to someone who doesn't want to work or some government agency trying to figure out why people don't want to work? Lastly, the government says that if you operate your business at a loss for so many years, it is no longer considered a business, it is a hobby. So where do you think that leaves our federal government? I'm Black Hat. Live long and prosper.